Let's start with the ramp polish, and for that the first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna disable the step preview and see how it looks, the blocking we did. As you can see, it's quite decent base actually. There's some stuff on the shoulders that maybe some of the keys, when it goes back. But yeah, the feed, obviously one of the key things we're gonna work on is like, especially after the contact, transitioning to the passing. We want like the feet planted in 1 or 2 frames, give more like momentum, more power into that. Same with the takeoff. But yeah, overall is quite decent base. So we're gonna start saying similar approach as we did with the walk. It's gonna be a layer. We're gonna start with the hips and the legs, and then we'll move into the upper part of the body. And first of all, we're gonna make sure everything is pre-infinity cycle and post-infinity cycle, just in case we shift the keys around. And let's go back into the hips, and let's start with the up and down. And for here, I mentioned when analyzing the reference that it's usually around the passing pose or a frame earlier when we have the lowest position. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna shift this 1 frame, something like this. Yeah, so we hit 1 frame sooner, and then we have the nice push, in the vertical motion. And then we want to have a bit more hang time, because as you can see, after frame 5 it goes back quite linear. So probably around with frame 6, so 1 frame later than that. Gonna keep this a bit higher, and I'm gonna bring these two, same as we did with the lowest, the highest 1 frame sooner. And that way with this one too as well, a bit higher. We have the nice boom push in here, a bit of hang time, and then it drops. Boom. And another thing we can do as well is here on the frame 11 and 0, I'm gonna actually add a key and lower this a tiny bit, so we forced, we have a bit of like low point here, and then boom, it push up, hangs a bit in here in the airtime, and then boom, it lowers again. You can see here a nice feeling on the bounce. If it was more cartoony, we could potentially exaggerate a bit more the hanging time like that, so we feel more bouncy, but something like that for now should be fine. Let's move into the side to side, and for that what I mainly want to do is like to make sure when it moves, when it's here, boom, and it pushes, we have this really nice now starting to favor in the next one, and here I want this favoring as well, where it comes from, where it goes to. I think I'm gonna delete these 2 keys. Yeah, something like that for now. I think it looks works quite well. And then for the forward motion, that works quite nice as it is. Had this here, which is the farthest point in the back here, and then it pushes forward with a hang time, and then starting to come back maybe. So maybe actually we can bring this 1 frame after, boom, and then boom, what this really nice backward motion here, boom, and we push again. Yeah, something like that. That would be regarding the translation. So now if we move into the rotation, the first thing I want to check is I'm going to do the side to side motion. This one, the Y, and let's use this a tiny bit. And here, like we have this really nice curve at the moment, with favoring here one side and then the other, so that works quite nice. So the first thing we're going to do is to make sure here on the tangents to switch them to spline and clean them a tiny bit, so it transitions nicely. There you go. And I'm gonna maybe actually this one, bringing 1 frame, holding a bit more in here, boom, and then boom, we have this really nice boom, change. And I think I'm gonna soften this tiny bit, so we can bring it here and we scale down and we fix the tangents. But yeah, that way we have the really nice contrast on the side to side motion, favoring the legs. When it comes to the X, Here we have the C shape, so that's nice. Then it goes up. I think I'm gonna delay 1 frame, boom, so it carries on with the momentum. 1 more frame, boom, and then I'm gonna favor that them a bit more. Boom, compresses in here, boom, and bounce back. Yeah, something like that. And last but not least, the one that's a bit tricky, which is the C rotation. Gonna probably here delay tiny, shift 1 more frame here, because here the main reasoning behind this one is what we want is supporting, especially when we push in here. As you can see here how the legs, we are supporting this pushing pose in the left one, and then when we change there's a bit of bounce, and then boom, the other one, this one. That's what we mainly want. Maybe I'm gonna actually boom, here I'm gonna give a bit more, so let's scale this something like this, and this one is gonna start actually easing. Boom. So we support this pushing leg, and then when it contacts here in a few frames, boom, and bounce back and shift into the right leg. Boom. Yeah, something like that works quite smooth. So then we can move onto the legs, and for that we can start with the right leg in here. Let's start with the side-to-side motion. And here is where we, when we're checking the blocking, right? We want this really nice kind of arc like that, boom, and goes back in here. So let's delete this, delete frame, there you go. We come in here, and the first thing I'm gonna do is, oops, where's the graph editor? Panel graph editor, there you go. I'm gonna bring the side view, and we can bring the motion trail. So as you can see here, it's a bit flat, especially on this during this part. So we're gonna do is bring down here quite a bit, and then probably around frame 3 to 4, boom, we want to bring this up quite a bit. See, so now we start having this nice arcing here. It goes down and then up, and then boom, contact. So that's in here. Another thing we want to avoid is, as you can see, going into the contact, how it goes just vertical, but there's no like forward or backward motion. So I'm gonna, during the frame, probably around frame 6, start bringing this a bit forward. And actually I'm gonna bring this a tiny bit forward as well. Something like that. Boom. And then it bounced down. And this one is the contact we want to make sure it start accelerating, to get into that contact. Boom. So we have a bit of slow here. It kind of like easing into this pose, and then accelerate and travels backwards. Boom. And once it contact, the same. We want to kind of like have a constant speed. So around frame 8 probably. Boom. Here 9. Let's plant this. Boom. And then let's slide backs. Boom. And start shifting. Boom. Here looks quite nice actually. And then when we want is around frame here to make sure the foot is not fully stretched the leg. Boom. We can open this a tiny bit more. There you go, and we clean a bit this arc. And then when it comes in, we can like exaggerate a bit the vertical, to make this trajectory a bit more like clean. and we can the same as we did in the front. How accelerate? So we want the same. Kind of here is into this pose, and then start accelerating, boom, into here. And this pose I'm gonna actually lower a tiny bit, and we're gonna clean the tangents, boom, something like that. Boom. You can see here how compared to the left leg, how it's like has had this really nice arcing here. Here we can potentially push a bit more here in the graph editor, the translation, boom, and then start dropping, boom, slides, boom, and then we have this really nice easing in here, and boom. Again, if it was more stylized, we could like this part would be like way faster, and then we have a really nice holding here, and the same when it swings really fast forward, a big hole in here, and boom, back. Let's actually start this a tiny bit. Yeah, something like that. And the rotation actually works quite nice. It was mainly here. Boom. We had a nice dragging here on the toes, how it's reversing, going, from the push up into the passing here, the toes, so that's really nice. So I think from the side it looks quite good. So let's move on to the front. And here, what we want to make sure first is the side to side, there's no foot sliding. So when it plants around here, I'm gonna bring this, boom, so it's fully planted. See all around this part, and then starts going back. Fix the and then we have the really nice coins in, and then it opens up, boom, in here until it goes back in, boom. Okay, that's one side, and then if we go and check what's the name, the rotation, things we want to double check is same with the Y. Here when it's planted, probably around here, we want this completely flat, so there's no sliding on the rotation, boom. And then the Z rotation the same here. We have here, and here, there you go, we plant, boom. And actually I'm gonna bring this here. I'm gonna favor quite a bit this part, something like this, because it was too open. So boom. There you go. And maybe the X a tiny bit more. And for the X, if we come to the side, boom, here we plant. So we come in here, this one is going to be the same, boom, and then it goes back, boom, nicely. Let's check from the back as well. Opens up in here, that's good, and then comes in and it plants the foot. Yeah, we had really nice, subtle, but it's quite nice. If we check the foot, especially in the contact, we had this really nice a bit of overlap with the toe, so that's good. And then what we can do here is select everything, and we're gonna mirror the leg. So we have, I think, no, we haven't shifted any key, so that's good. So we can delete this one, select everything, and we mirror. And now this one we do the same, pre-infinity cycle, post-infinity cycle, and we shift, in this case, 11 frame, so we can come here, minus equal 11, boom, there you go. Yeah, something like that. Sure, maybe here actually it goes too high. I think I'm gonna reduce a bit after the passing, you know, when we're going to the app. All this part. I'm gonna actually grab this in here. All this part, there you go. And lower is. This one I'm gonna keep it a bit high, and then we can as well lower this one. A bit less. Yeah, something like that. Still from the back as well, how it feels. Yeah, we have the nice like circular motion, and we have the nice stretch there here on the push. Boom. Let's actually grab this. I think here, actually, this frame, I'm gonna lower it a bit. So start during the passing pose, you know, it's gonna start a bit lower. Yeah, I think that feels a bit more natural. There you go. So yeah, I think quite happy with the legs. Again, as always, you can polish, you know, as much as possible. Always, you know, I can spend hours, but yeah, I think this is a good base. So we can move into the upper part of the body, and let's move into the torso first. So here, things we want to cover. Start with the side-to-side motion. Fix the tangents. And here, what I'm gonna do is this looks nice. The nice holding here, and then goes back. I think I'm gonna soften this a tiny bit. I'm gonna increase this. This one works as it is for now, because it's gonna create a nice one frame offset, you know, with the up and down with the hips that we tweak, so that's good. But also, like, it matches here. We check the Y, the opposite with the hips, so that's nice. That's the as intended, you know. The right foot is going forward, it's gonna be the left arm going forward, and we want the hips and the chest to support that. Then the X rotation. Here we have the nice push and down. So I think that's quite cool. We can maybe here one frame push a bit more favoring here. So we have hold a tiny bit the posing here, and then boom, it launches up. That's good. I think I'm gonna go a bit higher in this. So I'm gonna soften this so it's not very like feels a bit rigid. So yeah, that's nice. And then we move into the the Z axis. And here I think overall works quite well. The only thing I'm gonna do is, as I mentioned before, I think it's a bit too exaggerated, so I'm gonna soften this a tiny bit. Yeah, something like that. I think I might actually maybe bring one frame sooner. Yeah, that flows nicely. But we can feel a bit of you can see here with the axis on the compression on the lower part of the torso, so that feels good. Yeah, there you go. I think quite happy with that. And what I'm gonna do is quickly, before moving into the arms that are gonna require a bit more, is I'm gonna jump into the head. And here is what I'm gonna do is same as I did with the other axis. I'm gonna here soften this a tiny bit. And I think I might bring this one frame, yeah, sooner. Boom. yeah, here. So it hit here, you know, almost at the passing, the peak of the drag, and then boom, start goes back. Yeah, something like that. Boom, we got a nice bounce. So I want to hold a bit more during this position on the drag, and then boom, yeah, feels like a nice bounce in here. When it comes to side, now we can play. We can like double checking here, as you can see, because it feels a bit disconnected. So what I want to do is, when it's moving to this, as the chest is moving here to the right, so here, oops, there you go. I'm gonna move the other way around for the head, you know, to counter a bit the motion. So bring just tiny bit, you know, it's gonna be around 5. It's gonna be around 16, so something like this. And then I'm gonna favor this. Maybe that's a bit too much. I think I'm gonna move a couple of frames. Yeah, there you go. So that way we hit in here with the chest around frame 5, 6, and 1 or 2 frames after we hit the peak on the side to side with the head, you know, so we have a bit of an offset. As you can see here, it feels now quite nice. And we're gonna do the same with the Y. Here for the Y, I'm gonna actually push. You know, we have this really nice arc. Where is it? Like this type of line of action. So I'm gonna push that with the head as well. So let's move into here. Let's delete this key. And now back to the graph editor. We select the head. I think I'm gonna do the same, probably a couple of frames after. So here is frame 5. I'm gonna do the same. Frame 16. You know, we favor this a bit. And we soften the transition, and then I'm gonna a couple of frames. Boom. So that way we feel kind of like the chest, you know, is pushing and the head is supporting that line of action. Yeah, something like that. It's good. And then we can move into the arms. So for the arms, as we can see here, well, we want to soften the tangents. And when it comes to the side-to-side motion, quite happy actually how it looks. The arms has, because we had the really nice easy in and easy out with the fast transition. So I think I'm gonna leave it as it is. I'm gonna the Y, so I'm gonna come into the other arm as well here, and I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna fix the tangent. Sort that I'm gonna favor a tiny bit this. There you go. When it comes to the rotation in X, fix this, and what I'm gonna do is like here when it goes in, I wanna still favor a bit that this in position in here, as you can see. You know, here it's starting to go back, so I'm gonna favor this a tiny bit. And here with the tangents as well. Then boom, it goes back. There you go. And we can do the same with the other arm, which is this one. Oops. There you go. This key up quite high. There you go. And this one a bit as well. Yeah, something like that. We can again, like we can just do one arm and then we can mirror the animation. It doesn't matter. And for the C, we have, let's start with the right arm in here. Here this peak. Sure, I'm gonna soften this tiny bit because too much. It's nice in here, and then when it goes in, actually I'm gonna open up a bit the elbow, so it favors later when it comes back. Boom. So we have the elbow here, boom, open up. When we go forward, yeah, something like this, and then we can select the other one. We cannot do the same here. Let's see. There you go. This one will bring this a bit up. Make sure, yeah, both of them are similar. There you go, sorted. Yeah, that looks quite good. And then we can move into the forearm. Forearm should be easier as it's only one axis, you know, so we can actually delete all this. And then for the forearm, make sure the tangents were fine. And then here, I want to have this nice circular motion in here. So actually I'm gonna delay a bit this peak into probably frame 4. Yeah, and then start, like, you see, a bit more smooth going forward until probably around, I think around here, 17. It's gonna be the peak. And now we go back. And then we can clean this a tiny bit. Yeah, something like that. This is cool because in here what you can do is like shift this around, and you can select different like type of like rotation motions when it comes to the forearm. So that's quite cool if you want to play with different like intentions, you know, or different like attitude for the character. And then we can do the same with the other arm. So let's mirror this. Then we're gonna like move it a couple frames. Boom. So here it's gonna be around frame 6, I think. Yeah, frame earlier than that. Boom. And then the P was around, I think, yeah, 15. There you go. This one is fine. Something like that. There you go. And then we can move into the wrist. Main one. This one, the Y axis, it's gonna be driving the motion. So here I'm gonna do the same. Oops. There you go. I'm gonna actually shift it one frame. Boom. I'm gonna leave it as it is. So let's do the same on the other one. Y, one frame, boom, sorted. And then for the X, let's start with the X here. I don't want to do too much motion. As you can see, it's pretty minimum, you know, the X motion. So what I'm gonna do is in here, when it goes back, actually you can see it's pretty minimal, the amount, but actually I'm gonna revert the curve in here. So when it goes back, you know, it brings the arm a bit outwards, and then when it comes in, boom, brings inwards in the X. So let's do the same with the other one. Boom, there you go. You can clean this tiny bit, you know, in favor with the keys, but again, this is pretty minimal, so it's okay to not to spend too much time on this axis, at least for this animation specifically. There you go. And then when it comes to the C, which is this one, is pretty much the same. So when it goes back, probably around here, I actually gonna open a tiny bit as well. So I'm gonna reverse this here, and when it goes in, I'm gonna do the arm too close, you know, and comes a bit inwards as well. So what I'm gonna do is like gonna 1, 2, 3, you know, so kind of like hitting here, and there's a bit of like offset, you know, and we can do the same here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There you go. So let's check. Yeah, that's quite alright. Fill the chest. X. No, that's completely fine. So then we can like double check the shoulders. I haven't forgotten about them. Yeah, double check the tangents are fine, especially on all these ones. There you go. And what we want in here is like, it's just supporting the arm. So here we have the nice push. So I'm gonna actually bring this one favoring the back in here, and then forward a tiny bit. Here I'm gonna smooth this, and I'm gonna do a bit of overshooting here, something like this. Boom. And then we can do the same for the other one. Just gonna favorite this in here. Let's actually print the other one for reference. This one. This one is so in here. This one actually goes down. Then we have this one going up, something like this. Fix the tangents. There you go. So we have the nice, side-to-side motion. And then for the vertical one, the vertical axis, because the X is pretty minimum, it's almost not affecting at all the motion. As you can see here, it's more like deforming with the skin. So yeah, I'm not gonna touch it much. But when it comes to the C, one is kind of like, we have this really nice arcs in here. So if we check with the grease pencil, we have really nice going here, boom, and going back, boom, boom. This kind of motion is gonna give us a really nice weight and bounciness in that. So we can come in here, delete the frames. Let's delete this, tangent pencil, delete frames, just bring back the graphator. There you go. And just double checking here. This is so one. I'm gonna delete this one frame, still going down, and then boom, goes up. Hold a bit in here, and then down and up, as you can see here. And I'm gonna favor as well this one. Something like that. And we can do the same with the other one, which is this one. One frame, there you go, and then we're gonna favor this one and this one in here. This one is like 2 frames. And there you go, and this one is 11 to 13. There you go, something like that. Yeah, that's a nice bouncy feeling. And you can see the arc on the shoulders. You can exaggerate that more, especially if you have a heavy character. If you want like to emphasize that kind of like a heavy feel, on the weight on the shoulders, especially when you drop, that's a really good way to exaggerate that type of motion. And yeah, and I think with this, as you can see here, I think it's a pretty decent base for a polish cycle. Again, we can spend way more hours like fine-tuning all this, double checking the curves, works perfectly, polishing a bit more the arcs, especially on the feet. I like as well to grab the arcs from the wrist and double check the curves were fine. Same even with the shoulders, you can put a locator on the shoulders, on the elbow. That way you make sure when it goes back as well, the spacing is right. But yeah, I think quite happy with this run cycle overall. And yeah, and I think we are ready to move on to the next lesson.